Welcome back to another episode of NBA by Jellyman, episode 13 in the new year 2023. This being shot on Monday, January the 2nd. Firstly, hope you've all had a good holiday season, back into the swing of things. It was a good last week of NBA, a lot of interesting results, a lot of big scores, a lot of big scorers, plenty of big rebounds, everything else. But this week we'll cover off the Week 11 review, team player consistencies as usual. We deep dive into the top rebounders in the league, and also a Week 12 preview. Obviously our best bets for Tuesday's games being tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, and whenever you can listen to this, just those player and team consistencies will be in the show notes. But we'll crack straight into it. So obviously we've got the first things first is the example day. So we had Saturday the 31st of December, plus 11.18 units. We had the Wizards at 11 plus against the Magic. Now the Magic had been had that confrontation with the entire team in Detroit, where their players left the bench, so a lot of their team was suspended. So this was a no-brainer. The Wizards going into Orlando and winning well, 11 plus there for $2.90 on Sportsbet for 1.5 units. Then we moved to the Lakers-Hawks game. We had John Collins 20 plus points. He'd actually scored 20 plus points in his last 3 or 4 games. And then against the Lakers, he'd actually scored 20 plus points in his last 4 games. But in this matchup, he unfortunately got himself into foul trouble. So that one didn't come through there. That was paying $4.50 on Sportsbet for 1 unit. We then had Pistons at the Bulls. We had Durant over 19.5 points and rebounds, with Jalen Ivey 15 plus points for $3.25 on Bet365 for 1 unit. That one didn't come through. Ivy actually hit. Durant didn't do as much work as he had been on the boards, and also on the offensive end as well. We thought he could do so against the Bulls as they're terrible down low. The Wolves versus the Bucks in Milwaukee. We had the Bucks along with over 221.5 total points. That was paying $2 on Bet365. We had 2.5 units on that one. And then we had Anthony Edwards over 23.5 points with Giannis over 6.5 assists. Edwards hit his, Giannis didn't hit his. He did a lot more scoring than assisting in that one. That was paying $3 on Sportsbet, 1.5 units. And then we hit our last 3 for the day. So we had the Pelicans at 197 on Sportsbet for 3 units. The Pelicans were at home against the Sixers. The Sixers are terrible away, so we couldn't see why they were favourites. And then Zion, 35 plus points for $4.70 on Sportsbet as well for 1 unit. Reason being, Zion had only played them once in his career so far at 37, 15, and 8. So we saw him against Embiid, matching up 1-on-1, big versus big. He would want to dominate, and he did do so. And then we had a 2-leg multi, the Denver Nuggets money line, and the Sacramento Kings money line for 261, 2.5 units on Bet365 here there. But that was the example day, so 11.18 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 8. And then we also had one that voided or bet returned as well there. We'll move on to topic 2, so the Week 11 review, and jumping into that. So we head back to obviously Monday the 26th of December. We obviously shot our last podcast on Christmas Day, so we didn't get to cover off the Christmas Day / Boxing Day games there. So we had the Sixers beat the Knicks 119 to 112. Harden had 29 and 13. Randall had 35 points. Embiid also had a big game as well. The Mavericks beat the Lakers. The Lakers were actually up until they allowed a 51-point third quarter to the Dallas Mavericks. That game finished 124-115. LeBron had 38 points. Christian Wood had 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists, so a huge game there. The Celtics beat the Bucks as expected, 139 to 118 in Boston. Tatum had 41 points. Drew Holiday had 23 points. Now, this was a bit of an upset in our eyes, at least, just because the Grizzlies had talked a lot of smack to the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors obviously being without Curry and Wiggins at the moment, so they're undermanned, as well as they have got a lot of consistent depth. So the Warriors won 123 to 109. Jordan Poole, 32 points. Jar had 36, 7, and 8. But it wasn't enough, and the Warriors obviously take home a win there, and a few brownie points there as well. And the Nuggets beat the Suns in overtime, 128 to 125. Shamet had 31 points. Jokic had 41, 15, and 15. This one's an interesting one. We actually had the minus 3.5 line for us here, and Bruce Brown had an open layup with 5 seconds left, chose to dribble it out instead of making the layup, as they sometimes do at the end of the game. So a bad beat in our eyes there anyway. But that's the Christmas Day games. The first 3 games we got correct, and the last 2 we just obviously the last one we just missed out on in the Grizzlies and Warriors. We obviously were upset there. Moving on to Tuesday's games. The Nets beat the Cavs 125-117. KD had 32 points. Garland had 46 points. The Clippers beat the Pistons in OT 142-131. Obviously tied at the end of the regulation, and then OT was 14-3 to the Clippers. PG had 32 points and 11 assists there. The Heat beat the Timberwolves in Miami. Anthony Edwards 29 points, 6 rebounds and 7 assists. The Rockets beat the Bulls in Chicago. Once again, the inconsistent Bulls. And the Rockets scoring a lot of points, or a team scoring a lot of points against the Bulls. DeRozan had 31, Porter Jr. had 36, 7 and 9. The Pelicans thrashed the Pacers at home, 113-93. Jay Val had 20 points and 12 rebounds. The Spurs beat the Jazz in San Antonio. Markkanen had 32 points and 12 rebounds. And then the Blazers beat the Hornets at home there. Grant 32 points and 10 rebounds as well. And LaMelo Ball, another big game, 27, 7 and 7. Wednesday's games for the Lakers beat the Magic 129-110. Another triple-double for Russell Westbrook. The Wizards beat the Sixers 116-111. As we spoke about in the last podcast, look for the Wizards to go on a run, and they have done exactly that. KP, Porzingis 24 and 10. Embiid had 48 points and 10 rebounds as well. The Celtics beat the Rockets comfortably at home. Tatum had 38. The Pacers beat the Hawks in a high-scoring game, 129-114. Buddy had 28 and 9 points. Collins had 26 and 10. The Clippers beat the Raptors, 124-113. Siakam had 36 points. Zubac had 23 points and 16 rebounds. The Suns beat the Grizzlies in Memphis, so they bounced back from that other game where they lost at home in Phoenix, and they bounced back to win 125-108. Washington had 26 points and 8 assists. Morant had 34 points and 6 assists there. The Thunder beat the Spurs at home, 130-114. SGA 28 points. The Mavericks beat the Knicks in OT. That was that game where Luka had 60, 21 and 10. Randall had 29 and 18, and obviously Luka made that special shot for the missed free throw, his own missed free throw, setting it up for himself to send it to overtime, and the Mavericks already go on with it and win. The Warriors beat the Hornets at home. Clay had 29 points, and then the Nuggets beat the Kings 113-106. Jokic a near triple-double, 29 and 11. Moving on to Thursday's games. So Thursday's games, we saw the Pistons beat the Magic at home 121-101, and then the Wizards beat the Suns 127-102. The Nets beat the Hawks 108-107. KD had 26, 16 and 8. And then the Heat beat the Lakers. Butler had 27. LeBron had 27. The Bulls beat the Bucks in overtime. Another real close game. DeRozan had 42 points. Giannis 45 points, 22 rebounds and 7 assists. The Pelicans beat the T-Wolves 119-118. Zion had 43 points in that one. The Warriors another win, 112-107. Markkanen had 29 points and 16 rebounds in that one. We actually missed out on Markkanen 30 plus points in this one. He actually had 23 points at halftime and he scored 6 points in the second half. A lot of missed shots for the Jazz, and that's why they went on to lose it. The fourth quarter was 24-13. That tells you how the Jazz ended up losing it. And then the Kings bounced back against the Nuggets 127-126. They win there. De'Aaron Fox had 31 points and 13 assists. The Nuggets were also up big in that one. I think it was up to 18 points at one stage. Moving on to Friday's games. So Friday's games, we had the Hornets beat the Thunder. LaMelo Ball 27, 10 and 9. And then the Pacers beat the Cavs 135-126. Tyrese 29 points and 9 assists. The Celtics beat the Clippers. We had the Clippers line in that one, luckily. Plus 6.5. Kawhi had 26 and 8. Jaylen Brown 29 and 7. And then Grizzlies beat the Raptors 119-106 in Toronto. The Ja Morant 19 points and 17 assists. Quite impressive there. And then Siakam 25 and 10. The Spurs beat the Knicks in San Antonio. Julius Randle 41 and 11 and 7. Keldon Johnson 30 points. The Mavericks beat the Rockets 129-114. Luka another huge game, 35 points, 12 rebounds and 13 assists there. Saturday's games, 31st to the 12th. Obviously, we already covered this off just quickly in our units return example day. But the Wizards beat the Magic 119-100. KP 30 points and 13 rebounds. The Lakers beat the Hawks 130 to 121. LeBron had 47, 10 and 9 on his birthday. The Raptors beat the Suns 113 to 104. Gary Trent Jr. 35 points. The Bulls beat the Pistons 132 to 118. Levine, that is Zach, 43 points. Bucks beat the Wolves in Milwaukee 123 to 114. Giannis, another huge game, 43 points and 20 rebounds. Anthony Edwards also had 30 points and 10 rebounds and 4 steals as well. The Pelicans beat the Sixers 127 to 116. CJ McCollum 42 points. Joel 37 points there. The Nuggets beat the Heat 124 to 119. Joker, another triple-double, 19, 12, and 12. He's actually jumped up to the top of the MVP ratings at the moment as well. The Warriors beat the Blazers. Another win for the Warriors there at home. And without Curry and obviously Wiggins, 118 to 112. Lillard had 34 points, but Jordan Poole, 41 points in that matchup. And then the Kings beat the Jazz 126 to 125. Another close game there. Sabonis, a near triple-double, 28, 11, and 8. And marking another big game, 36 points there. Sunday's games, so New Year's Day games there for us at least. Pacers beat the Clippers 131 to 130. PG had 45 points and 9 rebounds back at his, I guess, home or old city, you could say. Tyrese Halliburton had 24 points, 7 rebounds and 10 assists. The Nets get past the Hornets easily, 123 to 106 in Charlotte. Irving had 28 points. Ball had 23, 7 and 11. The Cavs just beat the Bulls 103 to 102. Levert 23 points, DeRozan 21 points. The Knicks beat the Rockets. Randall, another big game, 35 points, 12 rebounds and 6 assists. Porter Jr. almost a triple-double, 23, 10 and 8. The Mavericks just beat the Spurs 126 to 125 in San Antonio. 51 points for Luka along with 9 assists, not 19. The Grizzlies, they beat the Pelicans at home in Memphis 116 to 108. Ja, another 30-point game, 32 points and 8 assists. The Pistons beat the Timberwolves in Minnesota 116 to 104. Bogdanovic 28 points. Edwards another 30-point game there, 30 points and 7 rebounds. The Sixers get past the Thunder easily. Joel had a triple-double, 16, 13 and 10. Giddey 20 points and 9 rebounds. Last but not least, Heat beat the Jazz 126 to 123. Hero hit a one-legged running 3 for the win, which is not how they want to lose, but it sure is how you want to win. Bam, 32 points and 8 rebounds, marking another big game, 29 points and 14 rebounds there. The Jazz across the last week, a lot of close losses is the best way to say it. And then last but not least, Monday's games, so today's games. Memphis beat the Kings 118 to 108. Ja had another big game, 35 points and 8 rebounds, Sabonis 18 and 14. The Wizards get past the Bucks easily. We took the Wizards sort of, even if they did have Giannis, we were actually confident on the Wizards with how they've been playing and the depth they have. And then the Bucks are just struggling without, Holiday, Middleton, and then they didn't have Giannis today as well. So the depth just isn't there with those 3 guys not playing. And then the Nuggets beat the Celtics 123 to 111. In that one, there was actually a delay of about 30 minutes due to the ring not being straight after a Robert Williams dunk. Jaylen Brown had 30 points and 8 rebounds. The Joker had another triple-double, 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists. That is the week in review. Obviously, throughout our player, team, and consistencies there, we'll sort of go over it, winners, losers, all that sort of thing throughout that week. But we can jump straight into topic 3 here. So the player and team consistencies, the Atlanta Hawks. So we've got Trae Young, 26 plus points in 5 of his last 6 games, but also 8 plus assists in 8 of his last 9 games. DeJounte Murray, since he's come back, he's been good, 20 plus points in 3 of his last 4 games. And then John Collins, Capella's out at the moment, so there's been a lot more rebounds on offer. Collins, 7 plus rebounds in his last 6 games. And the Hawks have lost 4 of their last 5 games there. The Hawks are in a weird spot at the moment. They just don't have the depth or continuity at the moment to win a lot of games in a row. And their home court advantage as such isn't working as well as it had been for them. The Boston Celtics, Tatum 29 plus points in 7 of his last 8 games. Today was that 8th game with only 25 points. Tatum's also had 7 plus rebounds in his last 5 games. Jaylen Brown more consistent there, 29 plus points in his last 5 games, 7 plus rebounds in 5 of his last 7 games. And the Celtics have won their last 4 games at home, but obviously went back out on the road today to play Denver, and that ended up being a loss. Brooklyn Nets, Irving, 28 plus points in 5 of his last 6 games. And then Durant, 4 plus assists in his last 5 games. And the Nets have won 11 straight games. So a lot on the road, a lot at home, just playing super well there. And obviously back up towards the top of that Eastern Conference after the early season drama once again. We've got the Charlotte Hornets. LaMelo Ball, 23 plus points in 9 of his last 10 games. And then also 7 plus rebounds in his last 6 games. And then 7 plus assists in 6 of his last 7 games. So we saw he is at times a walking triple-double with how long he is. And then he's been able to up his scoring since he's come back from injury this season. Chicago Bulls, Levine, 22 plus points in 5 of his last 6 games. And then Vooch, 9 plus rebounds in 6 of his last 8 games. Dallas Mavericks, 35 plus points in... not Dallas Mavericks. Luka, 35 plus points in 4 of his last 5 games. And then also 9 plus assists in his last 6 games. Christian Wood, 19 plus points in his last 4 games. And the Mavs have actually won their last 6 games as well. So obviously Luka scoring and assisting a lot sees the Mavericks winning. And not just at home as well. Denver Nuggets, Jokic, not 29 plus points in 4 of his last 6 games, 10 plus rebounds in 9 of his last 12 games, 11 plus assists in 6 of his last 7 games, and then Porter Jr., 18 plus points in 4 of his last 6 games, and Aaron Gordon, 17 plus points in 6 of his last 8 games, and I think they've won 7 of their last 7 home games as well, so they're really consistent and shooting it real good at home. Detroit Pistons, Bogdanovich, 20 plus points in 4 of his last 5 games. The Pistons have lost 7 of their last 9 games as well, though. The Golden State Warriors, Poole, 24 plus points in his last 4 games, and the Warriors have actually won their last 4 games, even though they've all been at home. So we'll see if they could maybe take some of that form out on the road. We haven't seen it all season yet, but as long as you can win half your games at home, you're potentially a shot for the playoffs. The Houston Rockets, Porter Jr., 17 plus points in his last 4 games, and then 7 plus assists also in his last 4 games. And then Jalen Green, 21 plus points in 5 of his last 6 games there. The Indiana Pacers, Halliburton, 23 plus points in 5 of his last 6 games, and Buddy Hield, 18 plus points in 4 of his last 5 games, and Matherin, 15 plus points in his last 4 games coming off the bench there. The LA Clippers, Paul George, 22 plus points in 9 of his last 10 games and 4 plus assists in his last 7 games. And Kawhi, 24 plus points in 3 of his last 4 games, so he's getting his feet back under him at the moment. The Clippers have actually covered plus 6.5 in 13 of their last 14 games as well. So if Clippers are potentially underdogs, looking at taking their line there, it's been consistently hitting. The Lakers, 27 plus points for LeBron James in his last 10 games, 6 plus rebounds in 8 of his last 9 games, and 5 plus assists in his last 7 games. Westbrook, 7 plus assists in 6 of his last 7 games. And then the Grizzlies, Morant, 32 plus points in 5 of his last 7 games, and then 8 plus assists in 9 of his last 12 games as well there. Also, Adams, coming off 2 huge games, 23 rebounds and 21 rebounds. He's actually had 14 plus rebounds in 4 of his last 5 games as well. So we'll see a lot of rebounds there for Steven, and who passes it straight off. A lot of them actually coming on the offensive end as well. So he's chasing down those missed shots from the likes of Brook, Morant, whoever else might be at the rim there. It also helps when Jar goes for a layup. He obviously draws the other big, which then gives Adams a free run at the hoop to obviously grab that offensive board and either put it back up and in, or pass it back out to whoever else might be out there on the 3-point line. The Miami Heat, Bam, 22 plus points in 5 of his last 6 games, and then 7 plus rebounds in his last 11 games. Hero's there as well, but he just hasn't been consistently scoring. 20, 20, 20, 20. It's been like 28, 29, 11. 24, 23, 11. He hasn't been consistently putting up those numbers time and time again. The Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis actually had 40 plus points in 4 of his last 6 games and 13 plus rebounds in 4 of his last 5 games. And then Bobby Portis, 10 plus rebounds in 4 of his last 5 games. But the Bucks have lost 5 of their last 6 games. So, Holiday's been out for a few. Now Giannis has been out for a couple. And obviously Middleton's been out once again with another injury. The Minnesota Timberwolves, Edwards, 27 plus points in his last 5 games. And then 6 plus rebounds also in his last 5 games. But the Wolves have lost their last 6 games there. Obviously missing Cat hugely of late. And a lot of other depth as well. The Knicks, Randall 29 plus points in his last 6 games, and then 11 plus rebounds in 9 of his last 10 games. But the Knicks have lost 5 of their last 6 games. So funny, this time last week we were sitting here about the Knicks win streak and how well and how good they look, but then a couple of injuries. Barrett is out for a bit, and then obviously Brunson's been out for a bit across the last week as well, and they suddenly drop a few games in a row. Credit to them though, they've been a lot of close games, so they are still keeping within the game, and Randall is playing excellent as well. The OKC Thunder, getting 20 plus points in his 3 of his last 4 games, and then 7 plus rebounds in his last 4 games. SGA 28 plus points in 7 of his last 9 games as well. The Orlando Magic, Wagner 19 plus points in 5 of his last 6 games, but the Magic have lost their last 3 games. The Phoenix Suns, they've actually lost their last 5 of their last 6 games. The Sixers, Embiid 35 plus points in 4 of his last 5 games. The last game he didn't have that in. He actually had a triple-double. Obviously was getting double, needing to pass out of that double, making the right decision. James Harden, 20 plus points and 10 plus assists in his last 4 games. The Blazers, they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. The Kings for Fox, 24 plus points in 7 of his last 9 games. Sabonis, 18 plus points in 11 of his last 12 games. 10 plus rebounds in his last 13 games. Obviously a rebounding machine. Siakam, 25 plus points in his last 7 games, and then 4 plus assists in his last 17 games. So his assists there are obviously up and consistent. Gary Trent Jr., 20 plus points in his last 3 games. The Jazz, Markkanen, 29 plus points in his last 4 games, and actually in 5 of his last 6 games as well. Clarkson, 21 plus points in his last 7 games. The Jazz have actually lost their last 4 games, very similar to a couple other teams who have lost a lot of close games in that period as well. Porzingis, 22 plus points for the Wizards in his last 4 games, and the Wizards actually won their last 5 games. So obviously we sat here a week ago, we said, look, the Wizards could go on a bit of a run because they've got Rui back off the bench, and they're shooting really well, and they're just consistency all around. They can score the ball. Obviously with Kuzma, KP, Rui come off the bench, and they've got a lot of good guards who consistently score and get it going at any time as well. That is topic 3. Obviously, we will always have these in the show notes. You can copy and paste them and use them for your week ahead, or feel free to reach out if you've got any questions about them. Topic 4, deep dive into the best rebounders in the league. So, got Domantas Sabonis, Clint Capella, Rudy Gobert, Giannis, Zubac, Jokic, Adams, Steven that is, and Nikola Vucevic, which I am getting them all up at the moment. So Sabonis is averaging 12.3 rebounds per game, and obviously we mentioned him before. Looking at him, he is the main big for the Kings. So meaning, they play the 4-3-2, so they obviously have, they've got Fox at the 1, Monk comes off the bench, but Murray's there. They've got Barnes, and then they've got Sabonis at the 5. Can't think off the top of my head who's their 4 again, but he isn't as big as Sabonis, so he dominates down low. Not only that, he gets a lot of offensive rebounds as well. So the Kings are obviously a high 3-ball shooting team. So that means Sabonis has plenty of opportunity to get to the right spot and get those offensive boards. So obviously leading the league there. Has had quite a few 15, 14, 16, 20 plus rebound games as well. So always having a look at his larger rebounds against teams who like to shoot the 3-ball, as well as the Kings like to shoot the 3-ball. So 2 teams who like to shoot the 3-ball, look at Sabonis's rebounds over. Next on the list is Clint Capella, obviously been out of late, but once again, similar boat to Sabonis. I mean, Collins likes to play more of a perimeter game, so no sort of offensive rebounds there, but along with the size of the Hawks, Clint Capella obviously gets a lot of those close rebounds, but he is out currently at the moment with a calf injury. Gobert, 11.9 rebounds a season, actually down from his previous seasons, and he's one we've sort of stayed away from this season, which I would recommend the same, because he's not getting consistent minutes. So he might only get 25, 26, 27 minutes. He's not finishing the games either. So if he doesn't hit his rebounds early, he's missed them because he's not coming on towards the back end of a game. So it's just a sort of good one to watch there as well and sort of stay away from. That's our recommendation. Giannis, 11.8 rebounds per game. And obviously, depending on who he has in the lineup, so if he doesn't have Middleton and Holiday, he dominates the boards. And then obviously Portis comes off the bench, so they sort of share that duo of, hey, he gets the rebound and goes. Has had quite a few 20 rebound games of late as well, and a lot of 12, 13, 14 rebound games as well there. That is Giannis, and then Zubac for the Clippers, obviously the biggest fella there, 10.9 rebounds per game. Similar to Gobert, he only plays around that sort of 27 to 30 odd minutes, so he's one to watch, but often if he gets a lot of rebounds, they are early on in the game, but he does dominate the boards as well. Jokic always been good, 10.9 rebounds per game. Once again, watch for him if it's not against a big that likes to play the perimeter. So say, for example, if it's a big that likes to play on the inside, there'll be a lot of rebounds for him on offer. But if it's big who can play the perimeter, like, Joel Embiid, if it's Giannis, if Jokic has to play out there with them, he often doesn't get a lot of rebounds there. But in all other games, he usually does. Steven Adams, we just spoke about him, 10.8 rebounds per game. His only danger is very similar to Jokic. If the other team's big is more mobile, he often won't play, and they'll play Jaren Jackson Jr. or Brandon Clark at the 4 or 5. So he's one to watch there and make sure, hey, is Steven Adams actually going to play this game? Is he a mobile enough big to go with the opposition big there? Last but not least, Nikola Vucevic, obviously the tallest guy for the Chicago Bulls at the center, averaging 10.4 rebounds. He's been a bit up and down and inconsistent this season. Like, just looking at his last 5 games, 14 rebounds, 9 rebounds, 14 rebounds, 3 rebounds, 12 rebounds. So it's making sure he's against a team, like, for example, against the Cavs, he had 14 rebounds because obviously playing against Allen Mobley. But then against Detroit, the rebounds weren't exactly needed against Detroit because they were playing so well, and a lot of shots were being made. Then against Milwaukee, obviously playing against Giannis and Lopez, 14 rebounds. Against Houston, more mobile, agile bigs where he wouldn't have played as much. Only had 30 minutes in that one, only 3 rebounds. And then against New York, he had 12 rebounds, obviously playing against Randall and Robinson. And so once again, having a look at who is the opposition big that he'll match up against, and will need to play most of the game there. So that's a deep dive into the best rebounders in the league. Obviously, having a look at those guys. If they're playing teams that like to shoot the 3 ball, and there's going to be potentially a lot of misses, looking at those larger rebound markets can be super lucrative there. That's topic 4. Topic 5, NBA Week 12 preview. So at Tuesday, we've got 11 games. Our games to watch: the Pelicans at the Sixers, round 2. So obviously, Joel and Zion go head-to-head again, this time Zion into Philadelphia, which would be an interesting matchup. Both players scored huge last game, so we'll see if that is the same deal this one. The Nuggets at the Wolves. Just the Nuggets going back up on the road. They've been super good at home, but they haven't been good on the road. The Wolves obviously in the spot they are. That should be an easy win for Denver, but who knows. Heat at the Clippers. So obviously an interesting matchup there. The 3, Butler, Bam, and Hero playing against Paul George and Kawhi and the rest of the Clippers there. Wednesday has 3 games. The Wizards at the Bucks, round 2. Depending on, obviously, Giannis plays. It'll be one to watch because the Bucks just got beaten by Washington. And then the Kings at the Jazz. That rounds out. There's only 3 games for the Wednesday. Thursday, we see 12 games. The Pacers at the Sixers. That'll be an interesting matchup because obviously Indiana, who they have on board, and then Joel wanting to play well at home. The Bucks at the Raptors, so Giannis, if healthy, goes up to Toronto. The Nets at the Bulls, obviously the undefeated Nets, potentially still undefeated, playing against Chicago in Chicago, always a good matchup. KD, Kyrie versus DeRozan and Levine. What more could you ask for? Look at that one, obviously 25 plus points for each of those guys, or 25 plus KD, Irving, and then DeRozan and 20 plus points Levine. That's a good little match up there, as well as Vucevic. If he's consistently playing in that one, he'll score a fair few points as well. The Blazers at the Wolves, and then the Heat at the Lakers as well. So obviously they're flipping it around, and then Butler returning to, or going to LA to play LeBron. Friday has 4 games. The Celtics at the Mavs. That's a super exciting one there. So obviously the 2 Jays playing against Luka. And then the Clippers at the Nuggets. So Kawhi heading into Denver along with Paul George, playing obviously the informed Nuggets at home. The Bulls at the Sixers. Always an interesting matchup. The Knicks versus the Raptors. Hopefully the Knicks are healthier by then. The Nets at the Pelicans. Obviously got KD, Kyrie playing Zion and CJ. Cavs at the Nuggets as well. So Cleveland average on the road. Denver really good at home, at 2 top tier oppositions in each other's, obviously Cleveland and Denver. Sunday sees 5 games. The Jazz at the Bulls is one to watch for us, and the Pelicans at the Mavs. Markin actually used to play for Chicago, so looking at that one as well. And then the Pelicans at the Mavs, obviously Zion versus Luka, super interesting matchup there. The Monday sees 9 games. The Nets, the Heat will be an interesting one because obviously KD, Kyrie playing against Butler, Hero, Bam. Jazz, the Grizzlies there. Obviously, Jazz been able to score a lot of points, but can the Grizzlies shut them down? That's 9 games for your Monday. Last but not least, best bets for Tuesday, the 3rd, not the 2nd, the 3rd of January. And then we've got, so if we zoom up on here, what have we got? We can go through the lineups for you because they're already up. So they've got the Suns, Knicks, Paul, Shamet, Bridges, Craig, Ayton. Brunson's still listed as a game time decision along with McBride, Grimes, Randall, and Robinson. Look for Randall to have another big game once again against Phoenix and at home in New York. Chris Paul will also love playing against the Knicks. Look for DeAndre Ayton to potentially improve from his last game, which he was averaging. The Knicks are currently paying 186. The Suns are 195. The Lions -1. The Bulls at the Cavs. So the Bulls are with Dosunmu, Levine, DeRozan, Williams, and Vooch. And then the Cavs are with Mitchell, Levert, Stevens, Mobley's listed as a game time decision, and Allen. So obviously they're without Garland. If the Bulls can go in there and score well, they could potentially upset the Cavs. But the Cavs have been super good at home this season. They're paying 164 and the Bulls are paying 235. The Bulls have actually upset a lot of teams at home of late as well. Next, you've got the Charlotte Hornets versus the Lakers. So you've got Schroeder, Beverly, Walker, James, Bryant playing against Ball, Rozier, Hayward, PJ, and Plumlee. Last matchup obviously saw the Hornets actually win. But I think it was 4 points in LA. It's 190 at the moment. The line is even in that one. And then we've got the Raptors at the Pacers. So Van Vliet listed as questionable at the moment. Trent Jr., OG, Barnes, and Siakam. Halliburton, Nembhard, Heald, Naismith, and Turner. Look for Siakam, another 25 plus points in that one. Currently, the Raptors are paying, where has it gone? 220, and the Pacers are paying 171. The head-to-head there is probably not worth it either side. The Raptors are very average away from home. Maybe looking at the total points over in that one, which currently isn't live. You've then got the New Orleans Pelicans at the Philadelphia 76ers. So CJ Murphy, Jones, Zion, J. Val, and depth on the bench. New Orleans will be out without Ingram and Nance once again. The 76ers have a full lineup: Melton, Harden, Harris, Tucker, Embiid. The Sixers line is -5.5 there, 145 head-to-head. Over-under is 230.5. We will be taking the 76ers line in that one. The Pelicans just don't have the same defensive intensity away from home as they do at home. Away from home as they do on the road. That makes some better sense. So looking at the Pelicans in that, the 76ers in that one. And then you've got the Spurs at the Nets. The Spurs lining up with Jones, Vassell's listed as game time decision. Johnson, Shohan, and Jakob Poeltl. The Nets, Irving, O'Neal, Durant, Simmons, Claxton. Look for the Nets to go 12 straight games. Their line's -13.5. I don't think we'll be having a hit at that. But the Spurs are very average away, and the Nets did blow out a couple of teams at home in the past. But we're looking at that one a little bit closer. 13.5 is a very, very heavy line though. You've then got the Mavericks playing the Houston Rockets. The line's -7.5 Dallas. Not a fan of that because Dallas are very average away from home, but look for a lot of points to be scored in that one. The over-under is currently 228, so look at the total points over in that one. Dallas will line up with Luka, Dinwiddie, Hardaway, Bullock, Wood, and then Houston have Porter, Green, Gordon, Smith, Sengun. Look at Christian Wood's points over in that one, returning into Houston. Obviously knowing the rings well and wanting to play well, as well as Sengun doesn't play well on the perimeter, defend well on the perimeter there. Currently that's sort of there. No, Mavericks are paying 132. The Rockets are 350. Next up is the Nuggets at the Minnesota Timberwolves. You got Jamal Murray listed as a game time decision. KCP, Porter Jr. Gordon's also listed as a game time decision, and the Joker. And then Minnesota will have Russell, Edwards, McDaniels, Anderson, and Gobert. Currently Minnesota are paying 225. The Nuggets are 168. The Nuggets -2.5. We'll be looking a bit closer into how they've been in Minnesota in the past. But then also seeing how they've actually gone. They've had a lot of games at home, a lot of wins at home, but they haven't been so great on the road. But Minnesota haven't been winning games either. The Atlanta Hawks and Golden State Warriors. So the Hawks will have Young, Murray, Hunter, Collins, Okongwu. And then the Warriors will have Paul, Thompson, DiVincenzo, Green, Looney. And not much depth on the bench. We've got the Kuminga, Wiggins, Iggy, Jermichael Green, Curry, and Wiseman's listed as a game time decision. The Warriors are favoured in that one though, 164 to the Hawks 235. Plenty of scoring through Young and Paul, most likely. But as I said, the Golden State Warriors actually have good defensive intensity at home against most teams. Then we've got the Pistons at the Blazers. So the Pistons have got Ivy, Bay, Bogdanovic, Stewart, and Durant. And then the Blazers have Lillard, Simons, Hart, Grant, and Nurkic listed as a game time decision there. Currently, the Blazers are paying 122, the Lions minus 9.5. So another hefty line there. Last but not least, with the Heat heading into LA to play the Clippers. They'll line up with Lowry, Hero, Martin's listed as game time decision, and Butler's listed as probable, but also game time decision, and then Bam as well there. The Clippers will have Jackson, George, Leonard, Morris, Zubac, and then Batum's the only game time decision for them. Currently, the Clippers are paying 155 minus 4.5 there. They've actually won a lot of good games at home of late and winning comfortably at home. Looking at their last quarters there, they obviously dominate in those. That is all for this evening. Thank you for listening in. If you're still at this point, feel free to like, follow, and subscribe on all good platforms. Check out jellyman.co for our subscription packages. Feel free to shoot us a message on Facebook or Instagram or wherever else, and then look out for our free tip tomorrow. Thanks for listening.